Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome to Bluff City Life, where every day is an adventure. I'm Andy Maness, guiding you through our exploration of the 901. Here's what we got for you today on our show. A new solo artist is taking the stage. We're meeting Jeremy Scott as he steps away from his band to give us a new sound. Plus, cats and coffee. Take a trip to the Cat Cafe. See how you can treat yourself and help these four-legged cuties find a forever home. But first, bipolar is one of the most misunderstood words in modern health, which is why for millions the otherwise manageable condition can literally be fatal. Those with bipolar disorder have astronomically high rates of suicide attempt, anywhere from 30 to 50%, approximately twice those seen for major depression. So unless properly diagnosed and in turn treated, we don't know what is killing people, literally. So joining us today is author and speaker Sara Schley, who did not know that she had a condition called bipolar 2 until she was finally correctly diagnosed nearly 25 years and 5 psychiatrists later. Sara, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Andy, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's kind of talk right off the bat about the difference between type 1 bipolar and type 2 bipolar, because I think a lot of people don't understand there are actually two different conditions.
Right, absolutely. And actually, there's actually a spectrum of bipolar, Andy, which is most people really don't know, and I certainly didn't know until many decades into this this challenging journey. So basically, I think, if I asked you, when you think of bipolar off the top of your head, what comes to your mind?
Things like mood swings, anywhere from a super low depression to maybe a very manic high.
Right, exactly. And I think that's what, 99% of the people that I ask have the similar kind of answer, which I also thought was bipolar's like big, huge highs and then severe lows. And with the highs go, sort of stereotypical mania, whether you're like on a all-night shopping spree or some other kind of adventure. And then you have the crash. Well, in the case of bipolar 2, Roman numeral 2, like I have, which is also similar to other types of bipolar on the bipolar spectrum, what's different is you don't have that classic high. You don't have this extreme mania. And as a result of not having that, bipolar 2 and other types of bipolar on the spectrum go misdiagnosed, because what happens is, in a case like mine, what you would see, Andy, is you'd see like the severe depression, classic lethargy, low affect, no energy for life, suicidal thoughts, and even worse. But without the high, it gets misdiagnosed as depression.
Well, can you kind of talk a little bit more about that spectrum? Because I think that's probably one of the reasons, like you mentioned, why there are so many different diagnoses and misdiagnoses, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, I think that one of the doctors who I work closely with, who's been is a specialist in this domain, Dr. James Phelps, he talks about bipolarity. Like there's a degrees of bipolar, and I think the main distinction again is that when we think of bipolar, we think of mania, and many versions of bipolar don't show the mania. So that if you're, you go to a therapist, you go to a doctor, you go to a coach, you go to a psychiatrist for help, you look depressed and you don't get diagnosed as bipolar, which is what you are. And as a result, you might get something like Prozac or another one of the classic depression drugs, which can be poison to a bipolar brain. In my case, those drugs are like poison to my brain, and they made me worse and worse and worse. But because the doctor thinks I'm depressed, when they see me come in worse, they give me more of the drug that doesn't work.
Well, quickly before we let you get out of here today, and thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story, but if someone is dealing with bipolar, or they know someone who may potentially be, what are some of the steps they can take?
Okay, so one of the first things I like to say is you won't know they're bipolar. You're going to see, someone, you or your loved one may be brutally depressed. You've tried everything. Nothing seems to be working. That could be a signal, hey, this kid might be bipolar in my case, right? Let's find a doctor who understands it or specializes or thinks about bipolar. Or if I don't have a doctor like that, let's bring them a book or something similar to help them understand that there is a bipolar spectrum that they may not have thought of. And then there's very simple diagnostics that are available on the web, even at psycheducation.org, a bipolar diagnostic spectrum. And it's 8 or 10 questions, and you can find out in 10 minutes, again, what it took a quarter century and eluded 4 psychiatrists in my case. The 5th one knew about that diagnostic. So,
Sara, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you sharing a little bit of your story with us. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me.
Next on Bluff City Life, it's the new face of adoption. Come inside the Cat Cafe and see how it's helping people and pets connect on a whole new level.